improves the circulation, strengthens the tendons and ligaments, okay, and makes you a devastating martial art weapon, shall we say. The next part of the hard skill, okay, is working on training the fingers, okay, and also the grip as well. Because we've worked on striking with the palm strikes in the back of the hand on various different striking surfaces, okay. But what we're now going to do is we're going to work on the fingers themselves, because we're going to work on thrusting finger techniques, single finger jabbing, double fingers, okay, grabs, etc. All right. So with the beans, it's all about developing the strength in the fingers, okay, and also working the tendons, ligaments, and sinews to strengthen those. So there's grip training involved in it as well. But also by thrusting into the beans, it'll develop the strength and conditioning, if you like, of the fingers. So that if you were to hit a target, because let's face it, fingers and the carpal bones are weaker than solid knuckles. Okay, so we want to develop those because we want to be able to strike with those and not cause any problems, and this will enable you to do that. Again, you should be able to do fingertip press-ups, no problem. That's not on the pads of your fingers, that's actually on your fingertips, and your tendons, ligaments, etc. should be strong enough to be able to take that, because you want to train and be able to grip. And when you grab somebody, you don't just want to be able to grab them and, you know, and just think you're grabbing them. You want to be able to grab them and make them really feel it. Okay, and this is what this will enable you to do. Now, with the bean training, you're looking for any sort of container. I mean, in this instance, I've just got just a plastic tub or a plastic bin, okay? You want it to be relatively deep because you want it to be so that you can fit your forearm in. So it wants to be deep enough so that it'll take your whole forearm up to your elbow. So this size of bin is ideal. It's perfect for this sort of thing. What I have done as well on this, because sometimes because of the beans that are in it are quite dense and heavy, just put tape around in a few places, okay, just to help strengthen the bin. Okay, because when you thrust your fingers in, it does obviously force out. Okay, and so it's important just to try and make it as strong as you can, because the last thing you want is beans all over your floor and all over your house. Okay, so with regarding to this, the beans that are inside are a mixture similar to the iron palm bag that we used before. It's a mixture of haricot beans and mung beans. Okay, haricot beans being the red ones, mung beans being the green beans, and you can buy these, as I mentioned, from any store. Okay, Asian food store, anything like that. Just buy them in big bags like that, or you can even go for big sacks. I mean, if you're using them a lot, you can buy these. Obviously, and again, they just come in just loose beans. Okay. When you make this tub, you're looking for a 50% mix. Okay, so 50% of each type of bean. All right. It's not overly expensive, to be fair. Okay, so it's important that you get the right ingredients so that when you do the techniques, okay, you've got the correct tools to do the job, basically. All right, and there are medicinal benefits with the beans as well. All right, so by using the beans, again, you've got obviously the natural sort of oils and things that within the beans, okay, that also help with the conditioning of your hand and help you not to injure your hand. So traditionally, you start off with the beans. Again, gradually you progress to harder things. Okay, you can do sand mixes as well with the beans, and eventually go on to again metal shot. That's sort of quite heavy duties that is training with a shot, okay, but you can progress to that if your skill gains, your skill improves so much. So we talked about you've got the 50% mix in the tub. You fill it pretty much to the top. This tub is filled up to about here, all right? So you've got a little bit of space because obviously you don't want beans flying around everywhere when you're doing the movement, okay. The next thing we're going to do with the tub is we're going to start off with the conditioning, and again, as always, you need to use the dit da jiao, okay? The dit da jiao, you can basically, as I mentioned, as part of the DVD set, you're going to learn the recipe and how to make this, okay? So I would recommend obviously making your own. However, in the meantime, whilst you're making it, you can buy it from any Chinese herbalist. They will stock it, okay? You can just ask them for just a general dit da jiao, okay, a fall and hit medicine. It won't be as specific as this. This is specifically for iron palm training. Okay, so you're going to be given a very sort of ancient recipe, as it were, which isn't given to the public normally. All right, so it's one specific for our type of training. But you can get general ones from herbalists, which will at least do a sufficient job until such time as you've got your own made. Okay, so with this, again, as before, just a small amount on the palm. Rub it into the palm. Back of the hands, wrists, paying particular attention to the fingers. This time, because obviously we're working the fingers, and really emphasize the fingers being well covered with the dit da jiao. Again, allow that to dry, and remember it dries quite quickly. Okay, there's not usually very long before it dries because we're being alcohol base. Now, again, to start with, similar to the iron palm bag that we used, this one is basically start gradually and progress upward. Okay, so you don't go in hitting the beans as hard as you can to start with. Okay, and there's various different movements that we're going to do within the beans. Okay, to strengthen the hand. To start with, it's just very straightforward. You're not striking the beans at first. You're just going to thrust your hand and fingers into the bag, into the beans. So from here, you just place your fingers, thumb just tucked in at the side. Take your hand, place it into the beans and push in as far as you can. Now you'll find that the hand won't go to the bottom. Then you're just going to lift out, other hand in, out, other hand in, out. And each time you're just trying to push your fingers as far down into the tub as you can. Okay, whilst trying to maintain the correct hand formation, so you want your hands to stay strong. So it's thrusting into the beans and back out. Thrust into the beans, back out. In, back out. In, and back out. Okay, you might find that the beans stick to you a little bit, that's fine, just brush them off, okay? One important thing when you're training with this, if you have long nails, you may find that the beans get caught behind your nails. So I would recommend, as a general rule, to keep your nails a little bit more trimmed when you're doing iron palm, because the last thing you want is getting one of the beans stuck behind your nail, and it becomes obviously very uncomfortable. And if you're not careful, obviously it can cause the nail to start to come off. All right. So what you want to do is just make sure your nails are trimmed. As long as that happens, there's no problem. Okay. It's not that you have to cut them very short, but basically just to make sure that your hands are obviously going to be as protected as possible. So first of all, we talked about thrusting the fingers slowly into the beans, trying to get the hand as low down into the tub as you possibly can. Okay. Now, you can either practice with your fingers together, which is probably a good way of starting, or fingers apart again as you progress to make it stronger. Now, that's the first movements when you thrust the fingers into the beans. The next movement we're going to do is you're going to thrust the hand into the beans, and you're going to go forward with the wrist and back. So you're going deeper into the beans and you're making the wrist really have to work. Because again, remember, when we do the ridge hand, you're generating power this way. When we're doing the other edge of the hand, we're generating power this way. So we're going into the beans, forward, back. So from here, thrust deep down to the beans, forward, back, and out. Okay? So a continuous movement, down, forward, back, and out. So slowly, down, forward, back, out. And this will really work the flexors and extensors in your forearm to strengthen those arms. Because what you're looking at doing is, when we're talking about the iron palm, is generating short range power, okay? You don't want to have to move long range to be able to generate power. You should be able to place your hand on them and strike from there, okay? And gain tremendous effect, okay? So you don't want to have to go from this distance to go and have to hit somebody. If your hand's already there, don't pull it back, you strike from there, okay? And you should be able to have that power to be able to do that. And that's all to do with the rapid contraction of the muscles in your arms, etc. And also the internal energy stuff that we'll do later on in the DVD set. So again, in, forward, back, out. In, forward, back, out. In, forward, back, out. In, forward, back, out. Now, to start with, you're pressing the hand into the tub. As you progress, and again, don't do too much too soon, okay? Remember, it's a 100-day training, okay? It's a 100-day training. Again, it's very important to take it gradually. 30 days at a time. 30 days, then step it up a little bit. Even if you feel that you might be able to sort of step up your training a little bit early, I would still emphasize stay to that 30 days, okay? But once you've got a little bit more skilled, you can then start to thrust the fingers in. You will get a few beans that splash around. That can always be swept up. Okay, and the idea is when you do the thrust, if you really go for it, is to get the hand as low down in the tub as you can. Okay? So, we've done that, and again, there's no damage to the hand at all. That's the important thing, is to train correctly and do it gradually. We've done thrusting into the beans. We've done forward and back. This time we're going to twist. 1, 2, grab, and out. So the whole movement is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So, thrust into the tub. 1, forward, back, twist, twist, grab as tight as you can, release and out. Okay? So it would be 1, 1, 2, twist, grab, out. So, knees bent, 1, forward, back, twist, twist, grab, out, down, forward, back, twist, twist, grab, out. 1, forward, back, twist, twist, grab, out. Down, forward, back, twist, twist, grab, out. You'll find, as you progress with that, okay, it has quite a stimulating effect on the hands actually. It's very good for your circulation. But you'll find as you do that, again, it'll toughen the skin on your hands. But when I say it toughens the skin on your hands, it doesn't make it so that there's calluses or marks or anything like that. Again, on my hands, I have no calluses, no marks, no swellings on my hand because the training is done correctly. The Dit Da Jiao, very important. Correctly mixture of the beans, very important. Train the technique correctly and there won't be any injuries, and that's the important factor. So don't think that you're going to be going beating your hands about and you're going to cause injury to yourself, because you're not. In all my years of training, I've never gained any injuries at all from doing this, okay? And I've found my techniques by doing the iron palm are very, very devastating when you want them to work, okay? Anytime you need to use them, it's just there for you, all right? So, we've done thrusting fingers in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go down to double fingers, okay? Or sword fingers. And the sword fingers, again, it's more traditional of a technique is this one from the Chinese martial arts. Your little finger and your ring finger come over and your thumb connects, leaving your other two fingers in this formation. Okay? And the reason they call them sword fingers is because in one of the Chinese weapons, the Zhen, the straight sword, okay, it's a thin, long sword, and this is supposed to mimic that shape and that's movement. So anytime somebody would use a sword, the opposite hand will be in this formation. But for our purpose, for the iron palm, we're going to use obviously the fist, the palm, the back of the hand, the knuckles, the finger jab, the single finger, the sword fingers, okay? Okay, and also to a certain extent, because we're conditioning the hand, we're also going to use the top thumb knuckle as well, all right? This one, all right? Which basically is just like the cotton fist, but you stick the thumb on top. Some styles call it ginger fist because they believe it looks like a ginger root. And it's just a very useful striking surface. Nice and solid there. So we're going to use that a few times as well, okay? Very effective for doing strikes to specific acupuncture points to cause, again, devastating effect. All the energy is focused in a small area. But from here, we're going to focus on the double fingers. This is just a straight strike. There's no manipulation on this at the moment, but you could, at a later date, go to the Yin Jiao, to the eagle claw, which is gripping with the two fingers and thumb, which again I utilise quite a lot in my techniques. So, you've got the sword fingers. Start above the bucket from here and thrust the hand in with the sword fingers and back out. Okay? If you get the beans stuck in between your fingers, you can just clear them out, but don't worry, so keep your fingers together, in. And again, to start with, you would just do it gradually and press in with the fingertips, trying your best to keep the fingers together. You may find that the fingers want to separate because the beans push them apart, but your intention is to keep those fingers together because you want the fingers to be strong. So it's down. Okay, and the aim is to try and get as far down the bucket as you can, as near to the bottom as you can, okay? So when you do it, you're trying to go down and press as far down as possible, okay? So, we've worked on thrusting hands, thrusting fingers. You can even do the single finger this way, strike, okay? You're aiming for that one finger to go as far down that bucket as you can, because you want to be able to hit with a single finger to any of the acupuncture points and to be strong. You should be able to strike hard, okay? with that finger, okay, without causing any damage to your own body. And so it has a very devastating effect when you strike those points on your attacker. Once you've done your conditioning, so you've done your iron palm bag, you've done the training with the beans, they can be done separate or collectively together, okay? You can do it as a continuous sequence or you can separate it. Personally, I would suggest doing it all together. However, listen to your body. If you think, I'm just aching a little bit, that's fine, give it a break. You can break it up during the day. But again, we're looking at 100 days training. Traditionally, 100 days training, should I say, will give you sufficient conditioning to be able to utilize these skills. And yeah, of course, you're going to gain the benefit from day one. There's not going to be any issue with that. But basically, what you want to do is as you progress your training, you'll find your hands get stronger and your techniques become more and more devastating. The one thing you have to be careful of when you train iron palm is training with your training partner, because the last thing you want to do is injure them. And what you'll find is when you're doing the training, you have to be careful. Okay, it's very important you're careful, because when you do those techniques on somebody, you don't necessarily realize your own strength and you don't realize how conditioned your hands have become. Okay, when you condition your hands with iron palm, it's just like you picked up